Here we go. Time for ukulele today. Thanks for joining me. Let me go post the link over on our website. I'm a minute or two behind here, so people will think I'm not coming, but I'm here. So Command V, Shift, Highlight, Bold, Link, Enter, Edit, Settings, Open a new window, Update, and Update. So that should get the website up and running. Let's click here and put this over on Twitter. Log in. Patience. The website is jollyrogerukulele.com. If you haven't, you already know that. jollyrogerukulele.com. Today we are working on several things. Most importantly, of course, is book 1, which we have got started last week, and we'll be following up the stuff we need to know and do out of that book. And then we will also be proceeding into a lot of strumming today. Actually, we don't do tons of strumming because I figure you'll get it one way or another, but I find more and more that people who go through this particular style of play don't get this stuff. And so, well, and since I don't work on it, neither do you. And pretty soon somebody out there might play better than you, and we can't have that for sure. All right, so I've got the website up and running, looks like, and just as a reminder, today is we're going to replay Frère Jacques both on baritone and ukulele, and then strumming in the key of A major. We're going to talk about how to approach that little booklet that's on the website, and then in the second half hour we're going to run through Drunken Sailor. We got, I think, 10 keys that we want to be able to play in, and then we'll dive into For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, kind of a silly little tune, but kind of fun to work on. And then in the last half hour, it'll probably be more than a half hour, we have all 5 of the lullabies we have been working on. 3 of them we worked on last week and 2 are new this week. A couple of them are super weird and scary. Really 3 of them are super weird and scary. 2 of them are really beautiful, and 2 of the songs are modern songs written in the last few years, and a couple of them are, super old. So it should be a fun day. Hopefully you'll gain some. Hopefully you being here will be worthwhile. If you're logged into Gmail or logged into YouTube, you can take advantage of the chat bar like Yago is doing, and you can, if you have questions or comments as you go along, please don't be shy about it. I answer them that's the reason for attending live. If you're not attending live and you're just watching the video, then obviously you don't do that. It doesn't matter. But yeah, if you've got questions or you want to say anything, feel free to drop that in the chat bar. You have to be logged into Gmail or YouTube in order for that chat bar to work. All right, so that's the overview. Let's take a quick rundown of where you're at. If you're just getting started in this style of ukulele, and again, this style is different than other styles. We treat the instrument as a real musical instrument here, not as a backup to your singing. And so there are a few things that are a tiny bit different about what we do around here. Lesson number 1 just gave you some information about me and what the website does, and some websites we recommend, and my phone number and that sort of stuff. So that's was lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, the big takeaway I think in lesson number 2 is how to hold the ukulele properly. Use a strap, put a strap button in here. When you buy a strap off of Amazon, it usually comes with one of these knobs. You drill a teeny tiny hole in the end of this, screw this thing in, and stick this around here. I just tie it on up at that end. You're going to be playing with both hands, and in the beginning this strap can be a little bit annoying. You can see me fighting it already, but the idea is, because you're going to be doing stuff with this hand and this hand, it's really hard to hold on to the ukulele, and all these other goofy things that they've come up with to hold your ukulele just don't seem to be the right thing. Something very traditional works the best, I think. And then the other important issue is that your thumb stays back here. I should never see this. That's the only rule I know of in ukulele, is that your thumb stays back here. Wherever your middle finger is, your thumb's hanging out right behind that. And so that's that's the big takeaway from lesson 2 is how to hold the thing and how to use your left hand correctly. You don't need a capo, you don't need a pick, you won't. Whatever ukulele you have, size-wise, is the one you're going to learn on, so it'll be fine. Over time, if you are an adult, you probably want a tenor. Unless you have shorter fingers, then you might want a concert, but most adults should be playing tenor ukulele if they're just a little more sound, a little easier to play, a little more room on the fretboard, all that stuff. If you're have giant hands, then of course you have to play the baritone. Here we treat baritone almost equally to the ukulele, one of these days it'll be 100% equal. There's a couple of things I haven't finished yet, but we're getting there, and so it won't really matter which instrument you play. Ukulele, this is a high G ukulele, has a higher pitched note. I'm looking for my tuner on the top string, and then of course there's low G ukuleles and baritone ukuleles. I would say don't change out, if you have a high G ukulele, don't turn it into a low G unless you have really know what you're doing or you have talked to me about it. Most of the time, if you change this to a low G plastic string, it's not going to sound as good. And if you change it to a metal low G string, you can tear your ukulele apart. So you want to get a ukulele that's actually made and built properly for a low G setup. And then the other thing is keeping this at a 60-degree angle and memorizing that there's dots on 5, 7, and 10. Those are really, really helpful and key things you want to know. All those are on that piece of paper. Doing ukulele right, lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, the bottom line is you want to own this exact tuner. It's called a Snark Super Tight HZ. I think it's ST8 on Amazon, and I've used all of the tuners and nothing comes close to this, and so just pay the money, get one of these, and make your life easy. You also want to download a tuner onto your phone, so that if you don't happen to have this around, you can do it. They're not as accurate, and you know, if it's a noisy room, they won't work very well, but it's better than nothing, right? And you should just, that way you're prepared. You're not going anywhere without your phone probably. There's lesson number 4 was about getting to know the fretboard. We don't waste time on that. These, wherever you press on here, there is a note name that's associated with that spot, but that'll change if you change your tuning. It'll change as you go from baritone to ukulele, and so we don't spend a lot of time talking about that. It really gets in the way in the beginning. Once you've become a fully competent instrumentalist, you may want to take time to learn your fretboard, but you don't need to. Chord charts, there's one for ukulele. That's one of the weaknesses in our baritone program, is I am working on the baritone chord chart, but it's just deadly boring, and I always seem to find something better to do. And so that's coming. Practice log, try to practice a little bit every day. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes, but if you can get yourself in a habit of just sitting down for a few minutes every day, you will get better. And then finally, in lesson 7, there's a progress tracker for the website so that you can keep track of which songs you've worked on. What I want to work on today is lesson number 8, which is our delightful and very famous Frère Jacques, and we're going to start on ukulele. Baritones. If you are playing a baritone, all I want you to do is hold your A chord, index, middle, and ring on the strings 4, 3, and 2 in the 2nd fret. Okay, so that your job is just to keep the pace. Okay, and then the rest of us are going to play the melody, and this is a big deal. So remember 0, 2, 4, 0 on the 1st string, and then 4, 5, 7 still on the 1st string, index, middle, pinky, and then we'd use your ring finger on 7, 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, 0, 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, 0, and then 1st string, 2nd string, 1st string, and all that's on the Frère Jacques piece of sheet music under the ukulele melody line. There's not that much. I don't have anything on this paper you don't have to know, but and I don't have but everything on this paper you do have to know, sort of thing. And so we will dive into just a few other subtleties of that as we go along. Hey Nancy, welcome in. Baritone strapped on and tuned. Nice. Iago, almost right. And Diane, it's been a long time since playing the baritone. I think I'm starting over again. That's okay, right? You know how to you know where to come if you're starting over. So baritones, you have your A chord. You're going to give me 4 strums per measure. Don't listen to what's going on in the melody. Just keep the beat 1, 2, 3, 4 on every single measure except measure 8, where we go ding, dang, dong, and then you just stop strumming at the 3rd beat on that one, because then we just let it ring out through the end of the song. Ukulele players, let's go from the top. The first time through, we will ignore the fact in measures 5 and 6 you're supposed to play twice as fast. Okay, we're going to play everything at half speed in measures 5 and 6. You'll see when we get there what that means. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 2, 4. Oh, 2, 4. Oh, 4, 5, 7. 4, 5, 7. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4. Open. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4. Open. First string, second string, first string, first string, second string, first string, and then let that ring out. Okay? What we're hoping here is that you are getting comfortable playing melody. Once you understand the paperwork, once you understand that this tablature, the top line is your bottom string, once you understand that those numbers are your fret numbers on that particular string, you're done. That's it. We just have to practice a whole lot to get good at this. And so what you're learning is not unimportant. It seems like, Frère Jacques, I didn't come here to play that. I came here to learn Stairway to Heaven or whatever it is you came to learn. What you really came to learn is how to associate what's on the paper with what's on your instrument, and then you can play anything. Not only that, you can play all other fretted instruments as well. You can now play banjo, you can play mandolin, you can play guitar. Doesn't matter. They all have this tablatures all set up exactly the same for all of those instruments. So I was playing something online today, and I ran in and grabbed my mandolin to play, just because it was mandolin tablature on there. I'm like, fine, I know how to do that, right? I don't ever play mandolin, but I know how to read the tab. And so now you know how to read the tab. Here's the one thing on that piece, on that song that we just played, that we need to fix, right? Measures 5 and 6. You'll notice in the standard notation that it goes Sonele Martinez. So the notes are connected with a bar, okay, and that makes them eighth notes. That means they're twice as fast as we played them. So we need to play that section twice as fast. It, of course, is the hard section, which is typical in music. The hard sections somehow always seem to be even harder than they should be, and on this song is no exception. So what we need to do is play that section a little faster, which means we should probably play these parts before and after it a little slower to make that twice as fast, not quite twice as fast. And then if you're on baritone, when you're strumming with me for the chords, you don't doubles time it or any of that. You just continue that same 4-beat pattern. So don't get in a rush to think that you have to do something different on the baritone just because we're now going to double the speed in that one section on ukulele. There's still just 4 beats in every measure. Okay, let's play it one more time from the top. 1, 2, ready, play. Oh, 2, 4, oh, 2, 4, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, twice as fast. 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, first string, second string, first string, second string, first string. So I slowed the whole song down just a little bit to make getting that 797-540 a little bit easier. And music's relative, so yeah, if you slow something down in order to speed something else up, that's legit. You can totally do that. You will notice on this piece of music, up at the top, it says quarter note equals 80, and that is almost, it's not quite meaningless, but it's really there to tell the computer how fast to play it. And if you go to the website and you look up Frère Jacques on the MP3 playlist, it's playing it at quarter note equals 80. Okay, that may be too fast for you, it might be too slow for you, but that's the number that the computer is using to play it back to you. And that gives me, generally speaking, as a conductor, when I go to conduct, I look at that number and I think, okay, we're going to start, this song feels a little bit on the slow side, so I'll conduct a little bit on the slow side. I may speed things up or slow things down depending on how things are going with the rest of the orchestra, but that gives me a starting point to think about, how the music should be presented. All right, so the other thing I need for you to do, we need to all play the chords now. Baritones, again, you are still with 1, 2, 3 on yours. Ukulele players, your A chord, you'll notice, is a dot here and a dot here. We talked about it last week. So you put your middle finger on the top string, 2nd fret, and your index finger, 3rd string, 1st fret, and then make sure your thumb is right behind where your middle finger is and squeeze a little bit hard. That's your chord. Okay, I'm about to sing. We know this is never good. I want you to just use your thumb down for now. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Brother John, Brother John. Morning bells are ringing, morning bells are ringing. Ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong. Last thing we want to do, take your 4 fingers, thumb on the top string, index finger underneath the C string, middle finger underneath the E string, ring finger underneath the A string. Okay, baritones do the same thing. Okay, you just hold your chord shape. Ukuleles, you'll hold this one, and this is the chord. This is the most important thing that I need to teach you in order for the next thing we have to learn. Okay, so we're going to take this and just let your knuckles collapse. Okay, and again, same pacing. 1, 2, ready, play. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, donnez les matines, sonnez les matines, ding, ding, dong, ding, ding, dong. Okay, claw plucking. Okay, use your claw, and you're going to use 4 fingers, 4 strings. Okay, that's how we get started doing that. We're going to do all sorts of crazy stuff with your right hand, and even when you get to today in book 3, they are going to have all kinds of really challenging right hand things to be working on. Okay, before I move on, ukulele players, you're now going to switch to the baritone paper, but the only thing you need to know is if you're on an ukulele, you're going to take your index finger, move your thumb down to about fret number 5, put your index finger on fret number 4, and your pinky's going to go up here on fret number 7. So you're going to have a bar on 4, pinky on 7. Right at the very beginning of learning ukulele around here, I teach you a bar chord. Most teachers would rather die than teach you a bar chord. Okay, we have to have bar chords in this style of play. So the sooner you get the further through them, the better. Bar on 4, pinky on 7 of just the first string, and when you strum it, it might sound like this. Okay, and that's fine because that'll go away. Okay, but that's all I need you to do. If you squeeze a little bit tightly, you'll get that. Okay, it's okay if you want to take your middle finger and smash the bar down. Okay, then your ring finger is hanging out here. Try not to have your ring finger sticking up weird or doing anything like that. It's just hanging out ready to do something if it's needed. Okay, and I will have you remember that one way is to strum it and one way is to pluck it. Okay, now I'm gonna switch to the baritone. That's your job as ukulele players. Baritones, let's do this. Okay, from the top. Am I in tune? I should probably check. I have this old baritone. I think it's from the 50s. And I love the tone, but it's about as good as everything else at the from the 50s at keeping itself together. All right, baritones. You are now playing in the key of E because you're now going to switch. Your chord would switch to this shape. Okay, same shape that the ukulele players just had. Ukulele players, your E shape looks like this. Baritones, yours look like this. I'm going to sing twice through. One time with my thumb, one time with my claw. 1, 2, ready, play. Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. Sonnez les matines, sonnez les matines, ding, ding, dong. Ding, dang, dong. Okay, switch to your 4-finger claw. Same with you ukulele players. Grab all 4 strings. 1, 2, ready, play. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Brother John, Brother John. Morning bells are ringing. Morning bells are ringing. Ding, dang, dong, ding, dang, dong. Okay, that's singing and strumming. We do 2 different types of strumming. We're going to spend almost all of our time talking about this hand. We talk a little bit about this hand, but most of the time when I'm wanting you to create certain patterns or certain melodies or certain techniques, we're going to be talking about right hand mostly. So get both of those under control as soon as you can. Baritones, let's now switch to melody. Ukulele players, you're still on your E chord, okay? And you just give us 4 beats per measure. And baritone players, same thing, 0240, 0240, 457, 457, 79754, 079754, first string, second string, first string. Okay, it's not an accident that I memorized. I teach it to everybody. Here we go, from the top. 1, 2, ready, play. 0, 2, 4, 0, 0, 2, 4, 0, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, 0, 7, 9, 7, 5, 4, 0, first string, second string, first string. First string, second string, first string. Isn't that lovely? All right, so you've learned now many things. 1, you've learned how to make your chords. 2, you've learned how to play the melody. 3, you've learned how to play in an ensemble situation where you might be playing chords and somebody else playing melody, or vice versa. You've learned multiple ways of attacking the strings here. You've learned how to tune it up. You've learned how to hold it. You're a genius, right? And so you're weak. So you may never ever play Frère Jacques again. If you hang around me, you're going to be playing Frère Jacques again. But you don't. But just know that I get it. That that's not a song you need to work on every day. Here are some songs you need to work on every day. All right. I wanted you to grab your little booklet. Okay, strumming in the key of A major. I'm going to pull up the baritone one. The nice part about what we've got going with these 2 little booklets is it is the same for ukulele and baritone. The baritones will have their shapes, ukulele will have their shapes, but we're always playing in the key of A. And I have this identical booklet for guitar so that you can play with somebody who has one of those contraptions, right? And so it's always in A, and so let's look through this book really quickly. We'll probably spend 2 weeks on this book. Next week we will play through some of the stuff, and then probably the week after we'll continue to play through some of this stuff. But I want to give you the brief rundown so you can attack this book. Here's what's important in this booklet. Put your A chord on. If you're baritone, you already know it, and if you're on ukulele, you got these 2. Okay, so you can look at the little dots on that booklet. By the way, if you're going to print the booklet out, make sure you set it to double-sided printing and then short edge binding. If you don't do the short edge binding, it comes out where every other page is upside down. But if you click on short edge binding, this will come out great. You can fold it up into a little booklet, and it's wonderful. There are about 30 some songs in here, and every one of them will help you get better at playing chords and running your right hand and thinking about how to get from chord to chord. Let's do Frère Jacques in A here, just so you can see the very first song on the book, page 1, Frère Jacques. 1, 2, ready, play. Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping? Brother John, Brother John. Morning bells are ringing, morning bells are ringing, ding, dang, dong, ding, dang, dong. Okay, so that is all you do, right? It says that, and that little bracket, it says play an A chord, and you play that until it tells you otherwise. And so you are noticing that has a red headline. The red headline songs have one chord in them. Okay, so those are great places to warm up. Three Blind Mice, same thing. If you go on to page 2, which you should do now, Row, Row, Row Your Boat takes a D chord. Okay, so if you are on baritone, index, middle, and ring, that's your D chord. Okay, if you are on ukulele, this is how you know if your ukulele is too small. Index, middle, ring, that's your D chord. Okay, so put your D chord on. We're going to do Row, Row, Row Your Boat together. Okay, I'll put I got a baritone in my hand, but you have a ukulele in your hand. Doesn't matter. We're playing the same chord, and so we'll sound good together. I'm going to put my D chord on. Ukuleles, you put your D chord on. Here we go. 1, 2. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat right across the lake. Don't stand up and rock the boat, oh, that's a big mistake. Okay, so we sound pretty good together, right? If you need more practice, Farmer in the Dell is there. There's 10 verses to it. If you have to play all 10, if you do that, send me a note that you played all 10, and I'll be very proud of you. I do want to talk very quickly about Lime and a Coconut on the bottom of page 2. Lime and a Coconut takes E7. So if I'm on baritone, this is my E7. Okay, and if I'm on ukulele, this is a little bit more challenging, but it's way easier than some of the other ones. Index finger on the top string, 1st fret, middle finger on the 2nd string, 2nd fret, and ring finger down on the bottom string, 2nd fret. Okay, so that's your E7. Okay, so let's put that on. When I teach this in kids' classes, they go crazy. They love this song because they get to scream when they get to the doctors there in bold, right? But I had a hard time finding a 1-chord song in it with a 7th chord as its major thing. So this is sort of it's a wildly modified version of Lime and a Coconut by Henry Nielsen. And so this is the only song in the book that's actually a modern tune, and it's not really even correct that it's his tune. It's definitely different key, different words, but the same basic thought process in it. Okay, let's run through it really quickly so you know how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. My brother bought a coconut, he bought it for a dime. My sister had another one and spent it on a lime. You put the lime in the coconut, shake it all up. You put the lime in the coconut, drink it all up. You put the lime in the coconut, and then you'll perk on up. Called the doctor, woke him up, and here is what I said. I said, Doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? I said, Doctor, to relieve this bellyache. I said, Doctor, ain't there nothing I can take? You put the lime in the coconut, drink 'em both together. Put the lime in the coconut, then you feel much better. Put the lime in the coconut and call me in the morning. Okay, so a lot of people don't know that song, so I like to always go through it, but it's kind of fun, especially if you're teaching this little booklet to kids. They have a blast playing that. Your job this week, Every song in here that has a green headline is a 2-chord song. So the green headlines are 2-chord songs, and I pick one at random as I'm scrolling up on my iPad. I notice the first green headline I hit is Soft Kitty, and so I'm going to be playing that as soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur, happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr, purr, purr. So you see what the real job is. It's not to sing the song. Who cares if you can sing or not? That doesn't matter. The real job is to be able to get from A chord to E7 and back to A. On the blue headlines, you have 3 chords in them. You will have your A chord, your D chord, and your E7. So go through this week, play as many of these songs as you can out of the book. You should, theoretically, if you practice a few minutes a day, play every single song in the book. I will warn you about the purple headlines. The purple headlines are not that challenging for ukulele players, because your A chord and your F sharp minor, you just have to add your one finger on here, okay? And those diagrams are on the front of your book. And then your D chord and your E7, not terribly complicated shapes, right? However, and this is super important, baritone, you have one really unpleasant shape, okay? Your A chord is here, your D chord is here, your F sharp minor is a bar chord here. Okay, so it is a little bit hard. If you have baritone, you got a little bit of work cut out for you. So it's A chord, A, Duke, 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 Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, da da bum ba dum ba da dum bum ba dum bum ba dum bum. So you have a much easier E7 than the ukulele players have, but you have a much harder F sharp minor to play. And so it is one of those you're going to end up having to play, but it's kind of rude to give it to you on the second lesson. So just so you know, on baritone, F sharp minor is kind of a bummer. Play as much of this book as you can this week. Obviously, send me a note. I'm perpetually behind on email, but I do try to get to those type of questions quickly. And it should sound good. Every single song in here should sound like something. And if it doesn't sound like something, you're probably making the chord incorrectly. Also notice every single song either tells you it's either in 4/4 or 3/4 or 6/8. If it's in 4/4, you strum it 4 times. If it's in 3/4, you strum it 3 times. And if it's in 6/8, oddly enough, you strum it twice. Okay, so we'll talk about why that is. But 4/4 and 3/4 are definitely just 3 strums, and you'll feel it. You've done music, you've heard it a few times. You know what the hell these songs are. If you don't know these songs, that means you're under the age of 50. Good for you. And then you just swing by YouTube and pick any of them. Pick one, type it in, and you can listen to a few versions of it, and then you'll be like, okay, I see what's going on here. But most everybody knows most of these songs, unless you didn't grow up in the United States. So spend some time on it this week. Next week, that's all we're going to do is play out of this book, okay? Because we're going to not only learn the chords, but then we have to start thinking about smart things to do with your right hand, okay? So that's your work for the week. I will post this video under the Frère Jacques class so that you can make sure if you get stuck, you're like, shoot, I don't know what he was talking about with Frère Jacques. You can come back and check this video. The stuff on the strumming page, we'll post that next week, right? So that way, so that we didn't talk a ton about super helpful stuff on it yet, just about how to attack the book. Red headlines 1 chord, green headlines 2 chords, blue headlines 3 chords, purple headlines 4 chords. You have your 4 chords. Practice, practice, practice. The goal is to get from one chord to the other chord in the correct amount of timing. We'll work on it more next week, and we'll also start bringing in your right hand. That's the end of book 1. Nice job, everybody. You made it. Whew. Lesson number 9. We're going to keep this moving forward. All right, next, book 2. All right, guys. Now we take the gloves off, right? Now we know Gary's singing, and it's going to be brutal. Grab your Drunken Sailor, and let's get going on that. Last week we talked about the importance on Drunken Sailor of knowing your chords in these various keys. And most of the chords on Drunken Sailor, most of them you know, but not all of them. And so it's important that we spend a little bit of time getting comfortable with those. So go to page 2 of Drunken Sailor. I because it's the first instrument I grabbed, will be on baritone ukulele. Okay, you are probably on ukulele, and that's where we want you. I was pulled up this thing and it says Drunken Sailor, and I go to page 2. It doesn't look anything like it's supposed to. I pulled up the guitar version, and it's like, well, that's not at all what I thought we were going to be talking about. All right, ukulele book 2. Let's find the ukulele version, which is way cooler, and it's there. There we go. Drunken Sailor ukulele, page 2. All right, we're going to run down all the chords. Okay, or all the keys, I should say. So I'm gonna give you what to sing it in each time. We have 2 jobs to do. Okay, the first job is to play all of the keys, all of the chords and all the keys going down. So if you're on ukulele, you're gonna play an A minor and a G. Okay, let's see if you can get back and forth between those 2. If you're on baritone, a little bit harder. You got this is your A minor, but then your G is quite a bit easier, right? So this is what you're doing. Okay. Next thing is the first part of the song. I want you 4-finger plucking, claw plucking. 1, 2, 3, 4. When we get to the second half of the song, I want you to arpeggiate. Okay. And that's a verb now. Thumb, index, middle, ring. Thumb, index, middle, ring. Okay. If you're on ukulele, if you have a low G one, you can do that as well. Thumb, index, middle, ring. But if you have a high G ukulele, it's going to sound better if you put your thumb on the 3rd string and do thumb, index, middle, index. Okay, so let me grab a ukulele. If you have a high G ukulele, okay, and you're on doing your A minor, and you're going to go to your G, okay, what I would think you want to do is you want to put your thumb on your lowest string. It'll just end up sounding better. And you're going to play thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle. And then when you switch to G, okay, so high G, the cool part about high G is we have it and we get to use it for certain activities. When we're doing the claw plucking, we want to use it because it'll help. It just helps round out this really cool tight harmony. But when we arpeggio pick, a lot of times that first note is the important one, and so you put your thumb on the 3rd string. So you're actually going to go from claw plucking all 4 to arpeggio picking the bottom 3, thumb, index, middle, ring. Now, if you have a low G ukulele, it's fine to do what we're going to do on baritone, which is pluck all these and then thumb, index, middle, ring. Thumb, index, middle, ring. Okay? So that's what the low G ukulele players will do, and the baritone players. And then ukulele players, thumb, index, middle, ring. We're going to go as quickly as we can to get to the bottom of all these, and let's see how we do. Okay? So whatever you have, if you have a ukulele, play your chord set. If you have a baritone, play your chord set. Welcome in Philip. I forgot you have to go to work. Philip works over at the university, and I'm just going over there to use the gym this summer, and so I don't go there near as much as I was going. All right, Drunken Sailor. Our first one is What Shall We Do with the Drunken Sailor? Okay, and the first half of the song, claw plucking with 4. Second half of the song, arpeggio. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Arpeggios. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. I should stop it on morning. Now, one of the things you might be doing is trying to look at the paper, right, to do that. Try not to do that. Don't worry about that. You're going to hear where the chord changes happen. You know where they are. You've heard this song a gajillion times. You've heard music a gajillion times. Your limbic system is going to tell you when to change the chords. Also, you can watch on the screen and watch when I'm starting to change my chords. You know, oh, that's when I should change chords. What you're really looking at is making sure you have the right chords. Okay, so probably just staring at page 2 and making sure your chords are correct. Next, B minor on ukulele. It's a bar chord on 2 with the A minor shape in front. Remember, here's A minor, okay? But to make it B minor, you just slide everything up to the 2nd fret. Bar here, thumb behind your middle finger, ring finger up on that top string. That's your B minor. And your A, of course, we just did that in Frère Jacques, right there, okay? Baritone players, you guys have this little stair step guy, one of the coolest chords, period, and then your A chord, we just did it. Okay, so these two, a little bit more work. Again, thumb strum for the first half, arpeggio picking for the second half. Hey Jan, welcome in. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? Oh, let's take a different verse. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Okay, I'm going to try to get more ning. When I hit ning, I'm going to try to do a final claw pluck on that. All right, those are a chord pair. Those are coming up in your life, those two. They're coming up today, later on. It's not going to be a B minor, but it's going to be, I can't remember what, F minor up here, I think, on ukulele, if I remember right. And then C minor, B flat. C minor, ukulele players, just cover the first 3 strings with a little bar. And then B flat, your favorite chord of all, bar chord on 1, and a bar on 1, A shape in front. Here's your A shape, slide it up 1, add the bar. Okay, good chance that yours might sound like that. That's how you're doing it right now. Please don't lose sleep over that. It will go away, okay? And you don't need to force it to go away. It'll go away on its own, okay? Baritone players, we have this weirdo shape. This is one of the tougher shapes, okay? Going to this shape, okay? It's not a baritone key, right? This is not something that we would pick for to play on baritone. It's okay. When we get to F minor, ukuleles have the same configuration. Here we go. From the top, let's do Put Him in Bed with the Captain's Daughter. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Put him in bed with the captain's daughter. Early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. Okay, there we go. That's your arpeggio plucking. All right, next one, D minor, baritone, or ukulele players, index, middle, and ring. Make your F chord, add your ring finger, that's your D minor, and then hopefully you have C minor memorized, or C major memorized, okay, D minor, C. Baritone players, our D minor is actually very comfy as well, and look at this, if you have your D minor shape on, these 2 fingers just pop up to get the C, okay, so they're a nice relationship. All right, chuck him in the longboat until he's sober. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chuck him in the longboat until he's sober. Chuck him in the longboat until he's sober. Chuck him in the longboat until he's sober. Early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. That one ended up, my voice is too high, right? And the reason we got to know all of these keys is that if you're a singer especially, you may find you grab a song and you start to play and you're like, it's too high or too low for your voice. You just transpose it into a different key. If you've been working on this type of activity, it'll be no problem, and then you can sing it more easily. That one was harder for me to sing. All right, next set of chords. We're almost done, guys. E minor on ukulele, it has that little stair step pattern, and your D chord is right there. Okay, we did that earlier. Okay, E minor, D. On baritone, E minor is here, same place as A minor on the ukulele, and then D chord, right, is right there. Okay, this one will sound cool. All right, from the top, let's do. That's a boring one. Pull out the plug and wet him over. Pull out the plug and wet him over. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Pull out the plug and wet him over. Pull out the plug and wet him over. Pull out the plug and wet him over. Early in the morning, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. I think I took a beat out of the first one. That felt way too fast. Probably played it in 3 and then played the second half because of the words didn't match it. It should have been pull out the plug and wet him over. I went too fast. All right, next one, F minor, E flat. Okay, these are very obscure chords for ukulele players. Highly unlikely that you're going to run into a song written like that, except for today in Tuff Uke. You got an F minor one coming. F minor looks like this. Whoops, I don't strum it. It'll sound different. For ukulele, F minor is that one, and E flat. Okay, we already did these shapes on baritone, but for ukulele, it's your first shot at it. F minor, baritone. You got your bar chord on 1, and then your E minor here, but we move it up 1 to F minor. Okay, and a lot of times I'll use my middle finger to smash down the bar. It's okay. It's okay. And then E flat. Baritones, you slide up to the 3rd fret and put the F shape on, or your C shape. Sorry, your C shape. So F minor, E flat. Those are the 2 we're going to use. Okay, together. Let's do. Heave him by the leg in a run. Heave him by the leg in a run and bow line. Okay, I think that has something to do with sailing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heave him in bag. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heave him by the leg in a running bow line. Heave him in a bag by the running bow line. Heave him in the leg by the running bow line. Early in the morning, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises, hooray, and up she rises early in the morning. I like that sound of that on baritone. I think it sounds cool. All right, your final grouping. How are we doing on time? Perfect. Perfect. Ukulele, G minor, index, middle, ring. Nice little arrangement. This chord is coming up so many times in your life. Go ahead and commit it to memory because it's coming up. By the way, hi Sandy, hi Carol. Good to have you guys in. This is coming up a gajillion times in, it doesn't come up a gajillion times when you go to the singing strums because they'll put it in D minor, right? Because that's a more popular chord. But in instrumental ukulele, boy, this comes up all the time, this G minor shape. So get comfortable with it and it goes right up to your F. Okay, G minor, F, G minor, F. Really nice arrangement. Baritones, on the paper, I'm showing you this G minor, which is fine, going to your F chord. But I'm going to give you a little hint, okay? Baritones only. Don't listen to anybody else, okay? Just you and me. You know how you're just using the F minor? Slide the whole thing up to the 3rd fret and make it at a real G minor. Now you've got a better bass notes here. Okay? That's your G minor, F. It'll sound better. Okay? From the top, I put the partial bar on there because it's legitimate, it's okay, and because the ukulele people have that exact same shape. But on baritone, the full bar sounds better. Okay? Here we go. That's what we do with the Drunken Sailor. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. That's what we do with the drunken sailor. Do with the drunken sailor early in the morning. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and up she rises. Hooray, and takeaways. What matters here? What doesn't matter here? What matters is that all of these chords are coming up in your life. You do not have to necessarily memorize every single chord that comes down the pike, but this group here probably is coming up, right? F minor, E flat is E flat for sure is coming up. F minor is a little less common in ukulele, but all of the rest of those are coming up. They are going to be part of music you play. So this is a very convenient way to get used to them. And baritone's the same thing for you. F minor is a little less common, and E flat is coming up. I mean, those things are coming up in your life. So it's a good idea to put these chords to memory. However, I follow a guy on Twitter, and his job is to put out every single weirdo chord that you've ever could possibly imagine. You're never going to play any of those chords. You're never going to need to know them. If in the random no chance that you might need to know them, you're going to go look them up anyway. So you don't need to know every chord, but you should know your majors, your minors, and your sevenths. And these are all part of that program. And so spend a little bit of time. And plus, it's kind of a fun song. That's one takeaway. The other takeaway is claw plucking and arpeggio plucking. Now, I'm going to spend a ton of time over your time hanging out with me talking about arpeggios because it is that important. You're taking a chord, doesn't matter what chord, and breaking it into its parts. And every fretted instrument, every single one. If you go to banjo, you're going to be playing arpeggios until you want to conk out, right? If you go into Travis, picking or a folk style guitar, picking these arpeggio patterns. Dolly Parton, she's made a few bucks arpeggio picking. So if you're sitting around and your hands are not doing so great, just spend the evening watching television. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do them backwards. Dun 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 dun. Do them inside ones. 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, and then do them backwards. 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3. That way you start to get complete control over your right hand fingers. They're not doing what they think they should do. They're doing what you know they can do. And so that's a huge takeaway on this particular piece of music. We talked about it last week in orchestra, Summer Institute. What do you do with the right hand? Well, this is arpeggio picking and claw plucking are a big deal. There's other things that we might do if we wanted. Let's pick a weird chord. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? So all I'm doing is thumb picking and then strumming, right? But it sounds fancy. It sounds like, oh, he's really doing something special. Not doing anything special at all. Just keeping the beat, but just changing up what I'm doing with my right hand. And I want you to be able to have complete control over your right hand because it's going to make your life so much more interesting. All right. If you didn't do your homework last week, go do it now. Now, here's the other piece of music that we're going to talk about this week. This week we divide you up, right? Ukulele does one thing, baritone does something different. And since I'm holding baritone, I'm just going to talk from the baritone. But the ukulele one is exactly the same. For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. All right. Think about all of the things on this piece of paper that you might need to know. Okay. So next week we're going to play it by chords. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. Part of the things that I think is interesting about this song, it's in 6/8. You're going to have the opportunity to think about why 6/8 we counted in 2. It's the weirdest thing. Like you should say, well, why don't we count it in 6? Because you don't. You count it in 2. Then why don't we call it 2/8 or 2/4 or something like that? And we're going to talk about that next week. But the big thing here is you can see just looking at where the chords show up. They either show up on beat 1 or beat 2. Now, or they carry all the way through. So for the first measure, he's a jolly good for he's a jolly good fellow. Beat 1, carry through, beat 1, 2, beat 1, carry it through, beat 1, carry it through, beat 1, beat 2, beat 1, carry it through. Okay, so the big key here, keep an eye on the fact that this is it. Really, your brain wants to think. When you see 6/8, your brain should think, I'm going to play this in 2. What does that mean for you as a musician? The chords here are not complicated, right? And by the way, you look at both pieces. If you're on ukulele, take a look at the baritone one. I'm looking at the baritone one now going, well, that's C, F, and G. The ukulele players are in tall cotton. They're going to be just fine. But if I look at the ukulele one, right, I'll switch over and I grab the ukulele one open. Well, that's in F, B flat, and C7. Well, if you're on baritone, you're like, I hate F, B flat, and or C7. For he's a jolly good fellow. Right? You have a lot harder job to do. So if your baritones, double check on the ukulele that you know how to make these chords, because you're going to be playing along with us when we play the other sheet music. And then obviously I want you to play through the chords. I don't spend hardly any time ever talking about singing and strumming because that's not where our focus is, but I still need you to be able to do it, right? Because there's going to come a point when somebody has you over to their house for drinks and they're going to want you to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and I want you not to be to call in sick to that thing. You're going to do it. It'll be fine. Then we always play the melodies, guys, and the main reason we do that is that one of us plays melody and the other group plays chords, and that gives you that ensemble arrangement. And then, of course, take your time to go through the Tuff uke. That's really why you're here. That's the good stuff, and it is important to me that you can do that. I will tell you, as we are about to go into the TuffRawk Group 3 stuff. Hey, Don, welcome in. When you get to, let's see, I'm on baritone right now, okay? My sheet music says, this F chord up on 5. I've got to get a bar on. I have to get the F shape in front of it in proper timing. Now, when you're talking about solo play, you kind of get to set the proper timing. But when we're talking about ensemble playing, when we're playing it together, I get to set the timing, and you're going to play at whatever speed I'm playing. That means that you have to be able to play in good time. Not that I always play in good time, but I play in a time, and you need to play in that same time. And so when we're working as an ensemble, getting from this to this is going to happen. Okay, and so and on ukulele it's the same thing. It's just, instead of calling it an F, you're going to call it a B flat. Dun 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 dun. Back to F. Dun 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 dun. Okay, so that's going on. Make sure you know measure 6. That little eyeball thing is a fermata. That means you make that note longer. You get to decide how long to make it, unless you're playing with me, and then I get to decide how long it is. And also, be mindful at measures 4 and at measure 16, you have 16th notes. So those are really fast, right? That's usually too fast for us to even play on this instrument, but you do the best you can. For he, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, and you want that to go as fast as you can. So play this all 3 of the ways, okay, so that when we get together next week, we can really dive in and look at the subtleties behind all of the things that are going on here. The cool part is, in baritone, this is in the key of C, which means it's super easy for the ukulele players to sit there. 1, 2. If I'm the ukulele player, right, and I know the baritone player's got to do the melody and maybe the tough acts, right? All I got to do is, for he's a jolly good fellow, he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. But because I had baritone brain on and I'm looking at the baritone sheet, I got to get my ukulele brain on and remember, what does a C chord look like? What does an F chord look like? What does a C7 look like? And what does my G7 look like? So all of those show up right on that first part. And if you're working on committing the main chords to memory, it's no big deal. You'll be able to do it just fine. But if you are not working on that, you'll always be sort of, oh, what is that? What is that? What is that? And I still do that a little bit too. I don't have everything just instant recall, partly because I'm old, but partly because it is hard to remember everything thing when you're in time. And if you are going to forget, make yourself a little cheat. You know, oh, a C chord. Here's how you make a C chord on a ukulele, but put it on the baritone paper so you don't have to go running around looking it up. Jen asks, for the 16th notes, how about a hammer-on? You absolutely can do that. So let's talk about what she's asking. So for he, let's see. So let me just play the melody real quick. Now here's the question. I got to make these 16th notes, and they're both on the same string, so I literally can hammer on this 3. Okay. Now here's the good and the bad about hammer-ons. Frankly, on guitar too, but anything that's not an electric guitar, you're gonna have to hit that pretty hard to hear it, right? But you're not gonna hit the string twice that way. You're just gonna hit that, hammer this on, and then you hit the next note. So your hammer-on is here. Same thing with the pull-up. If I was gonna pull off from 3 to 1. I don't hit the string again. I just let that sound be the sound. So yes, you can do a hammer-on. I think hammer-ons are wildly overrated in acoustic music. Yes, you should be able to do them. Yes, they are a thing. Yes, they sound wonderful when you get them right. Do you need to do them? Probably not. Do you get a whole bunch of horsepower on them? People who know what you're doing, they're like, oh, he's doing hammer-ons and pull-offs. He must really know what he's doing. Or she, right? But I don't necessarily know, especially on our instrument where it's so quiet and so hard to get sound out of it in the first place, that you're doing yourself a huge favor. I mean, it's fun to practice. Give it a try. But it's very clear on here that it's supposed to be slurred, right? Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, because it's got the little slur mark on top of it. So, yeah, it's really set up to be a hammer-on. You know, in classical music, we call it a slur because calling it a hammer-on would be too of the people, and so we call it a slur. But yeah, heck yeah, give it a try, see what happens there. And so we can talk about that next week. We will talk about why there's a rest in the middle of measure 10, what those rests mean and what they look like. It all shows up in measure 12 as well, and why those things show up like that. And so spend the week really digging into For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. I know it's maybe not the song you're thinking, oh, I want to really get this thing down. But really, going forward in book 2, we're going to spend a lot of time digging into the subtleties of music, because I think sometimes I'm so busy throwing new songs at you that I never spend much time really digging into what things mean and how to make them better and how to make them more subtle and how to make them more nuanced so that your playing becomes your playing and not just making notes off of the paper. Okay, so that's what we'll work on next week. For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, spend a lot of time on that and use Drunken Sailor as a warm-up. Run through all those chords. We will play, when we play chords on For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, we'll try claw plucking. We'll also figure out how you would arpeggio pluck when you're in 6/8 time. It's another cool thing we get to do on this instrument. Yeah, and Jen says, I just think they sound kind of cool. They do sound kind of cool. If you're on an electric guitar and you do hammer-ons and pull-offs, it is the greatest thing in the history of the world. But don't go buy an electric guitar, because then we lose you to the devil. I mean, honestly, electric guitar. I have played just enough electric guitar to know that I can never own an electric guitar because I would never leave the back room. It is that awesome. So if you have electronics, it's much easier to do hammer-ons and pull-offs. But on our instrument, it's still fun to do. They sound pretty cool. It's just they tend to be a little quiet. Wonderful. For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. All right, guys, we got to move on. It's 4:06 already, and you guys are here to play lullabies. I would like to get those out, so let's get going on those. Let me roll down here to where I posted them. And I don't know if I had put all of them in my book. I've been so busy playing these all week, you guys. I'm a little sick of them. Let's see. Okay, Triface ID. Triface ID. Let me into my own website, people. these are good lullabies, and they're kind of weird, and they're going to change. I have an electric guitar, prefer the ukulele. Philip's like, I have one sitting in the back room. I can walk away from it. That's my problem. I can't. I just like, oh my god, I got to get a fuzz pedal, and I got to get a distortion knob, and I got to get a whole rack full of pedals to put in there, and I got to get a fancier cable, and I got to get a better amp, and it's a whole. It turns into more electrical engineering than music at some point, and you're just like, I don't really need to be doing this way. All right. A lot of these lullabies you have not heard before, so I did post you links to all of the YouTube videos where I got them, where I at least was inspired from. Okay, so when you get to Anti-Lullaby, unless you have seen Hannah the miniseries, you probably haven't heard this piece of music. So go listen to that a couple of times before tackling the music. That's not impossible at the moment because you're going to tackle it right now. Same thing, Cossack Lullaby. Sumi Jo did a beautiful arrangement of one, and so you can go listen to her. Hansel and Gretel Lullaby is from some animated show that's on TV right now that I never heard of, and I just love the melody of this thing, and so it's really fun. There's tons of musical stuff for us to talk about. Tilly Tilly Balm is a super scary lullaby that just showed up on YouTube one day, and I have gone into the bowels of the internet trying to figure out if it's real or not, and it is unclear exactly where this song comes from, but it's super creepy and weird, and it makes a perfect sort of opportunity for us to talk about music that's scary and music that's weird and music that's kind of hard. So there, get a pickup for your ukulele, and then you have the best of both worlds. Yeah. One of my baritones is electrified, and I plug it in when have to. I'm like, okay, we gotta go do this thing, and we gotta plug in and use amps and all that, and then I do it, and then I come home and I put it back in the closet, and it stays in the closet. All right, let's take a look at, last week we talked Tilly Tilly Boom, Cossack, and Acadian, so let's dig into the Anti-Lullaby first. So grab Anti-Lullaby. I'm going to grab the ukulele version of this, and let's see how this works for us. I ran into this song. There's a mini series called Hannah out there. I think there's 2 or maybe 3 seasons of it. I don't know. We watched a bunch, and basically it's this young lady who figures out that they're grooming her to be a secret warrior for the CIA or something like that, and so she starts fighting back, and she starts helping the other girls in this weird school to escape, and there's of course car crashes and all this stuff, but it's kind of a sad, scary little show. A lot of people die in it, and she spends a lot of time alone, and so this Anti-Lullaby is a sort of theme that they run in many different ways throughout the entire series, and I was like, boy, that is a really haunting melody. And then I found out, well, it's written by this Karen O in 2018, brand new song, right? So we're on right before the pandemic. This came out, so we're on the cutting edge of cool music. Let's talk about the main things you're going to need to know. One, E minor. So make sure. Do not sleep, my starling, and then A minor. Sleep, my doe. She is wrapped in curtains, she is laid in snow. She will bury you inside her fur. Do not. And then you're going to have to go up to this high C. Let's talk about this. It's a bar on 7, F shape in front. Do not sleep. Okay, that's a C chord here. Figure this out. Think about it for just a minute. If I have an F chord down here in open position, let's start it up the walkway. It's F here. If I move it up 2, it's a G. If I move it up 2 more, it's an A. If I move it up to 5, your lovely B flat that you've done 100 times over the last couple of years, that's hanging out right there. Move it up 1 more, it's a B. And then when I get to C, it's on fret 7. Okay, so that shape, a bar with the F shape in front of it, is coming up all the time in your life. Okay, so just know when I see that, I'm like, oh, I hate that, and I put it in, and off we go, right? So there's this general expectation that that's one of the things you have to do, and in fact, we will do those all the way up to fret 10 on some of the arrangements. All right. So there's that. The C chords in here feel wrong. If you notice, here's what's really cool. In the standard notation, there's no sharps, there's no flats, right? The only note that's sharp is F, and it's in the key signature. But there's no other accidentals, and there are no accidentals. Period. It's just everything's in the key signature. So you would think there's no notes that don't belong in the key in this music, so it should sound kind of nice. The weird part is that the chords she's putting underneath them don't exactly quite line up to the melody notes, and so there's this tension there. And anytime you get to a C chord in this, you'll notice measure 5, her first note is an F, which is not part of a C chord, and it's on top of a C chord, so there's a little bit of tension there, and that's what creates that sort of weird sound that we're going to be feeling in this. So I'd like to run through just the melody so you get a sense of what's here. But those are the only chords: C, A minor, and E minor. And it's really the song's really in E minor. And so when we get to the C's, it sounds a little weird. Let's do just the melody, and I'll sing. As you guys know, I shouldn't be singing ever, but it is helpful, I think, when you're getting ready to start a new song. From the top, 1, 2, 3. Do not sleep, my starling, sleep, my doe. She is wrapped in curtains, laid in snow. She will bury you inside her fur. Now this goes too high for my voice. Do not sleep. She waits for you to. Here's a point for Jan's hammer on. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Hammer on, pull out. Right, sleep. Do not sleep. She waits for you to sleep. My breath you breathe, it will bury you, my breath you breathe, it will carry you. Do not sleep, she waits for you to sleep. Do not sleep, my starling, do not sleep. Okay, super creepy feeling overall in the lyrics. And the melody overall it's pretty predictable in that sense. Everything is within the key, so you're not going to have anything crazy going on. Jen is asking, what key is this song in, and how do we tell? So how you tell, right? Usually, at least with most music. Now let's make a caveat. A lot of academic music or more advanced music, it's not quite this simple. But in this one, it's pretty straightforward. If you have one sharp in the key signature, so look up there at the top of the song next to the treble clef, there's one sharp. That probably means you're either in the key of G or its friend, E minor. That's the two possibilities when you see one sharp. And Sandy says, those are weird lyrics. I did look up. Do these mean anything? Not really. This is just a lullaby. So when you have a sharp, just a single sharp, it usually means you're either in G or in E minor. Okay. Then you look at the song itself and you're like, okay, I start on E minor and I end on E minor, probably in E minor, and the song feels kind of sad, right? It kind of has a sort of a haunting sadness to it, so probably a minor key. So we're in E minor. And again, when you're studying most of the music that we'll be working on, most of the time that works out just fine. But as you get into ever weirder music, you will find that it doesn't necessarily work that way. Like I've been doing some music from the Renaissance on lute. I borrowed a lute from the school, and they had a different sensibility about things, and so a lot of times what appears to be in one key isn't in that key at all. It's usually some sort of mode of that key, and so it's a little more complicated than that. But for the most part, I think that's a pretty reliable place to start. Look at the key signature, look at the first chord, look at the last chord, get a general sense of what's going on in the song, and because this song could be, we got a lot of C's and a lot of A minors. It could be in one of those keys too, but unlikely, since there's all the F's are sharp and it starts with E minor and ends on E minor. Okay, all right, so we're in E minor. So now let's play let's run through the Tuff Uke on ukulele just one time through. We don't need to do the repeat, and then we'll do the baritone so you can get a sense of that one. Okay, so from the top, and we'll go nice and slow. This is quarter note equals 60. That's really slow. 1, 2, 3. E minor, slide up, back, A minor, E minor, lift up, big chord up here, get your bar on 7, F shape in front, play. You got to tuck your pinky under to get that 9. Put it back, and then up on the 10, lift up, accept the bar, and then this is a little motion you're going to have to learn. Put your index finger on 5 and your ring finger up here on 7, okay? And then go into your claw plucking and do, okay? Or leave that open. I shouldn't have that there. Yes, I should. God, Gary. Okay, so index on 5, ring finger on 7, pluck the open string with your thumb, and use your middle finger to get that 5. 7, 5, back to this big shape here. Do that, strum down. Tuck your pinky under, lose the pinky. 10, lose everything except the bar, and then open 5s and 7 again. Okay, and then drop down to the 2. Page 2. The big chord again. The first measure is just that 4, so your ring finger is going to come up here to 4, 0, 4, 0. Okay, and then you hit that 4 twice, and then you repeat the whole song. But if you come into the second ending, which is what we're going to do here, just grab that 0, 4, 0 with your ring finger, and then put your middle finger down, index finger down, and then you have this lovely bar 7 and ring finger up here, just what we were talking about in Drunken Sailor, only on 7. Okay, it's a really beautiful song, and it's one of the things that lots of you guys come to me and you say, hey, I want to do classical music, hey, I'd like to do a little jazz, I'd like to do James Taylor. So we have a tendency on ukulele to play stuff that sounds just pretty, right? And we have a tendency to maybe skirt some of the more complex stuff because it's just not in our wheelhouse. Take a song like this that's maybe not in your wheelhouse, that's really pretty short, and learn to get the subtlety of what's going on in this piece of music out, and I think it will inform and help your other songs that you do enjoy more And so, yeah. So I'm going to play Anti-Lullaby in the baritone version. Now, as I'm looking at this, you got to know your B minor. We just ran over it in Drunken Sailor. Did you memorize it on ukulele? You got to know your E minor. We just played it on ukulele. And then you got to know G. You already know G. Okay? So if you're on ukulele and you're in 4/4, it's 4 beats per measure, right? And since it's a lullaby, you might even switch it to 2 beats a measure. Phil says, I need to practice that one. I need to practice it too. I've been practicing it all day. I'm so sick of this song. All right, from the top, let's play it on baritone. And if you're on ukulele, just see if you can get at least 1 chord per measure, right? Something pretty, maybe a little bit of an arpeggio in there, you know, right? 1, 2, 3. Page 2, sorry. Second ending. High drama, right? It's one of those songs where you could play that and people would not know that song unless they've seen that show. If they'd seen the show, they would be like, oh my gosh, I love that song. Now, let me tell you about that show. This poor girl, she's running around through Budapest with a machine gun. And so all that stuff goes on. But that sad kind of lullaby, weird thing going on there. Very complex piece of music with very simple chords and no accidentals anywhere in it. It's so weird that you can get that kind of cool music out. And I do think as we play more and more modern music, we're going to run into that more and more. Songwriters are a lot smarter today than they used to be in terms of getting out really interesting, complex things without really being super knowledgeable about it. And so we'll be playing more of that to kind of push you up a little bit. Okay, it's an anti-lullaby. Hey, Linda. Yeah. You wouldn't want to go. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be kind of funny. Go babysit your grandkids and say, hey, I'm going to sing them this song, and just show it to your kids. And they'll be like, you can't babysit anymore. That's how you get out of babysitting. All right. Now the other one we need to talk about is. I'm just in love with this song. It's called Hansel and Gretel Lullaby. And Hansel and Gretel, as you know, when I was growing up, if I remember right, they just got put in the oven and cooked and eaten. But apparently they get away. I didn't know this. I don't know how. I don't know any of this stuff. But Hansel and Gretel Lullaby is from some animated cartoon out there. It's a series apparently. And I really, really, really love this song. And so I want you to love it. And so, well, I love all these lullabies. I have to be honest. This is my kind of thing. Take something that's supposed to be sweet and pretty and beautiful and turn it into something weird and sinister. You know, that's kind of my thing. So let's talk about it from a ukulele perspective because, as you know, the baritone will be the same. And most of you have ukuleles. So let me put my ukulele on. And let's talk about the various things in here. Another piece of music where there's no accidentals. You're like, wait. Oh, there is one. I'm sorry. Measure 33 has the one accidental in there. Other than that, you're playing in D minor. All right. How do you know that? It's got one flat. Okay. So that means you're either in F or you're in D minor. How do you know? Well, it starts on D minor, ends on D minor, probably in D minor. And just because you're in D minor doesn't mean no Fs will show up. Fs show up there at major 10 right off the bat. Again, with this piece of music, you're going to be using your open chords and some chords up the neck. They're not quite as intense as the chords in the last song, but the difference here is we're now in 6/8 time, and so a 6/8 time is a much more complex thing you have to think about. There's 2 beats in every measure, but now each beat is divided up by 3 notes. So let me see if I can show you a great example of that. I really can't. They don't have any great examples, but if you look at measure 3, you can see the first beat is a B flat, and there's 3 notes, bum, bum, bum. Okay, and then the next beat is a C. It's only got 2 notes, but the first note's a quarter note, so that is equal to 2 eighth notes. So you have 3 eighth notes there. So that's what's going on in 6/8. Is it's 1 2 3 1 2 3 2 1 2 3 2 2 3 1 2 3 2 2 3 1 2 3 2 2 3. That's how 6/8 works. But we usually don't count it that way. You will if you're doing an arpeggio pattern, but generally speaking, it's easier just to count it in 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Let's go through all of our chords. Make sure you know what they are. D minor, remember on D minor, that's your F shape with your ring finger. When the darkness, G chord, opens wide. Let me get the basic melody in my head again. When the darkness, dun dun dun. Okay, so now then you got your G chord, dun dun dun, B flat. Okay, just don't worry about them. If it sounds like this, it sounds like this. Da da dun, da da dum, dum dum dum. Then it kind of repeats. Dum da dum, da dum da dum, da 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 dum da dum. Okay, B flat. Now this is different, so you got a new section basically. Put your B flat on. Notice you've got B flat up the neck. So here's your B flat if you're singing it, but if you're playing Tuff axe, Tuff uke, you're playing the hard stuff, you're going to be up on 5. Dum dum, D minor, just take your middle finger off. Dum dum, F chord. Dum da dum, G minor, we did this during Drunken Sailor. Dum da dum da dum da dum. Dum da dum da dum da dum. Da 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 dum. Dum da dum. Okay, so it's A B A is how the front page works. Dun da dun da dun da dun da 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 dun da dun da dun. Repeat. Dun da dun da dun da dun da 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 dun da dun da 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 dun da dum dun da dun da dun da dum. Then repeat. Dum da dum da dun da dun da 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 dun da dun. Look at your turnaround. Remember when we did jazz and I talked about turnarounds? Look at how awesome this turnaround is. There's so much going on. It's crazy. You just got your basic chords. D minor, G chord, B flat, slide it down, A flat, D minor, A7. Okay, so those are your chords for your turnaround. I love a good turnaround, and this one's brilliant. And you also see down in the Tuff, you got all sorts of stuff going on. We'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, then let's talk about the second half of the song. There's some really cool musical things. One thing I have never, ever gotten to put in an arrangement ever before, and I can't even tell you how excited I am. You'll notice everything up to now is in 6/8. There's basically 2 beats in every measure. Then you get to measure 21, and there's 3 notes, and they're all quarter notes. You're like, what is going on? How do I divide that into 2? You don't. This is one of those places in 6/8 time where you end up with things like this, where you'll end up with 3 beats. It makes sense, right? You're in 6. There's 6 eighth notes or 3 quarter notes. The problem is that when you go to 3 quarter notes, you really need to count it in 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's different. And then measure 22 has two beats there, right? A quarter note with a dot plus another quarter note with a dot tied together. Measure 23 back in 6/8, 1, 2, 3, and then the quarter note 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then look what happens in 24. 4 notes. And you're like, oh, I don't think I like this song anymore. Here's what we've never ever done. These are called duplets. Okay, you've run into triplets before, but you've never run into duplets before, and duplets are very exciting. So duplets are, in triplets we speed things up. It's one monkey, two monkey, three monkey, four monkey, or in King Kong, we do one King Kong, three King Kong. Well, duplets slow things down. You've got 4 notes in the space of 6. And so when you get there, you're just going to know you're going to play those a little bit slower. We've never had them in an arrangement ever before, and it's super exciting when we get to talk about them. Okay, but you'll notice you're still dealing with the 2 beats in that measure. The first beat is just got 2 notes in it, and the second beat has 2 notes in it. They're just both duplets. That's a very fancy word. To tell people that you know that know music that you're playing music with duplets in there, and they'll be like, oh, you're fancy. It's very classical kind of notation. You don't run into duplets a lot until you get to contemporary music, and then they start showing up a lot. And so very exciting. This may be a ukulele first in history. We're playing duplets. And then you got D minor, A major on the 4th fret. Notice measure 26. You're here. Okay, and then measure 27. Slide up. Okay, you can hear this turning around. Okay, and then we go back to the main line. Why do shapes look different now? Bitter tongues are sweet somehow. More sort of transitional stuff. And then the last moment of transition, measure 34, you got this note. Right? That's you're like, what? And then we finish up the song the same as we began. And 'tis the blackness of the night teaches us how to see the light. Okay, so really cool stuff in there, sheet music wise. Surprisingly complex for just a plain old simple lullaby for the television, right? Let's go ahead and play. Let's go ahead and play through the Tuff uke. We'll stop several places and talk about it as we get there. Okay, so get your D minor on. Okay, play. And I'm, for the most part, I've been playing this with my claw. But if you feel like, hey, a thumb's going to make more sense to me, do that too. And then I think you'll find both work okay. I think the claw works maybe a little better. Plus, if you're using claw, it's going to sound very medieval. You'll see. It's like, wow, I think I'm playing medieval music on accident. Okay, so here we go from the top, nice and slow. 1, 2. G chord. B flat. Bar on 5, F shape in front, and be ready. Your pinky's going to come down on that second string at the 8th fret. Okay, and it's going to be kind of fast because then you're going to have to lift everybody up out of the way. So do the B minor. Why do? And you notice there, if you're playing melody, you don't have to do that. But if you're playing the Tuff uke, you are going to do that. Is 8 there. And then lift up both your pinky and your middle finger to get the D minor shape, and you're only going to play 3 strings. And then you got to go grab this 3 real quick. Okay, so you've done that F a million times. Okay, G minor at measure 11. A minor with the 3, just use your pinky to get that 3. Feel the tension in there. That's a G note inside of an A minor chord. It feels a little tense, okay? And then go back to your D minor. They want that tension so that you can resolve it at 13 with the regular melody. Go. Page 2. Okay, now let's do this turnaround. D minor. Blum. G chord, clunk, B flat, A chord, D minor. Okay, now we talked this week in Summer Institute about when you see that wiggly, that glissando, you can do, right, just thumb down. You can do it real slow. Right? I do that plenty of times because I'm trying to be goofy, dramatic, right? Right? Or you can do it fast. You can do it really fast, or you can do it with a rolled chord with all 4 fingers. Okay, all of those are legit. You get to decide which one. Okay, go back, repeat that whole section. Now remember, with the second time you come through, 17 through 20, you don't play because that's your turnaround. You don't play that the second time. And then let's talk measure 21. It gets very interesting. Okay, so you're on B flat. Okay, baritone should be on F. Okay, and then you're gonna go bum bum bum. So it feels fast, bum bum bum, because you're putting in what feels like an extra note in the same amount of time. You've been playing 2 beats on every measure all the way till now. Now you got this 3-beat measure, so they need to go faster. Bum 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 bum. Okay, bum 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 bum. So it's kind of dramatic. Okay, then go to measure 23, but this upper D, this is to my mind the hardest part of the song actually. D minor. Okay, so you're gonna have to get your pinky on the 8 down here. Bum 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 bum. I have been having to lift up the entire chord and just get rid of it to get the 10, 8, and 7. I can't quite get my pinky up to that 10 while holding the chord. I'd love to. Yeah, if I could do. I would do that, but I can't quite do it. So I've just been abandoning the chord. And then putting it back on. Okay, and now 26 is setting you up for another intro into something else, because it's an A note, A chord. It feels different than anything else you've done. Bar on 4, F shape in front. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so there I lied. There's another accidental right there. That's the C sharp happening there in your melody. Tension. Okay, slide it up to the B flat. G minor. There's that tension again. Tension, and then you got a little bit of a ramp up into the final here. Bum, bum, bum. Here's some of Jan's pull-offs, 1 and 0. You can do a pull-off there if you want. Bum, bum, bum. And then we finish up the same as we began. And then a nice finish. Okay. Whatever you want to do. So, really beautiful song. I'm going to play it real quick on baritone just so that you guys can hear it that way as well. And then next week we will play through all 5 of these. So I will not talk at all next week, and we'll play 5 tunes next week. All of those. If you missed last week's lesson, go double check the recording, because Tilly Tilly Boom is going to hurt your head, and what's the other one? Tilly Tilly Boom is like, wait, this can't possibly be true, and it is. It's the funniest part about Tilly Tilly Boom is that it's on a C, it's in the key of C, but there's only an F chord in it, and there's all these weird random accidentals that make no sense, and it's super terrifying. Like, this is exactly what you would sing to a kid who's being bad. And the Cossack Lullaby is actually really beautiful. It's really fun, and it's got this notion of you're a warrior child and it's time for you to go to sleep. Your dad's got this for right now, but your day's coming. Really, really beautiful melody. And then, of course, the Canadian one, the Acadian Lullabies. A lot of people know that one. It's pretty famous. So next week we'll play all 5. No talking. Just be here by 4 because it'll take us almost a full hour to play, and it'll be awesome. And then, so I wanted to play Hansel and Gretel on baritone, just so you can hear what it's going to sound like. Did I share this with my thing? Yes. All right. Now, I'll probably mess up a little bit here. I've been working on it today, but I don't know if I'll get it exactly right. Baritone players, obviously, if you want to play along with me. Ukulele players, do you know your A minor, your D, your F, your G? You should. All those are probably in your wheelhouse, right? You got an E chord there, which is kind of a bummer. And play E chord and then slide it up to an F chord. But all the other chords are kind of in your wheelhouse, so you should be able to at least give us some one chord per measure. Hit the A minor, plung, and then get ready on your D chord. Okay. I could not decide if it was a D major or a D minor. It doesn't really matter. I think the D major sounds a little bit better, so I put that in there. But it was one of those things where I'm like listening and listening and listening, and I think D major is the better choice here. From the top, 1, 2. Play the first page. I'm not going to do that. Okay, let's pretend that I'll just go back to I'll just move forward. Okay, so I'd repeat that whole thing. I'm coming in at 16. That's where I'll come in. I'm coming at 16. We're just on page 2. Okay, and then at measure 21. Fun. It's a really nice tune. So today I gave you some reasonably complex stuff, both modern tunes. This one was written, when did I say it was written? Did I say that? Come on, ukulele. 2021, written last year. Okay, and then the other one was 2018. So you've got some brand new music. Everything we always play is from the 60s and 70s, it feels like. And we've got more of that coming. I've been working on some other stuff that I think that you will be pleased with if you were in the 60s and 70s. But I also want to make sure that we keep pushing forward with this notion that they are writing some, not a lot, but some decent music these days. And I want you to be able to have some of that in your quiver as well. Next week, all 5 of the lullabies, and you'll let me know if you are having any questions about that. Do go listen to the YouTube videos. I think you'll fall in love with these songs as much as I did. They really are lovely, even though they're a little weird, a little off, and a little bit hard to play. This is, you're a top level player. Let's prove it by playing some songs that are maybe people haven't heard before, but are still cool and still like, whoa, that's really nice. Okay. And more importantly, this kind of stuff, the modern stuff, is hard, right? It's not going to necessarily cooperate like I've been working on the railroad. And so when that happens, that means you get to dig into your skill set and see where you're at and maybe learn a few techniques and that sort of thing. All of these will work with thumb down, but I really do want you to think about doing some claw stuff as well. All right, super interesting new music, fun. We'll practice this week, so it'll be, yes, hopefully, right? Hopefully, question mark. Going to practice this week. Even if you don't practice, you show up, right? You know that, and then you play what you can. All right, I will see all you guys next week. I'm going to go do harmonica here in 15 minutes, so go grab a harmonica, come join us. What are we playing? I don't remember what we're playing over there. Oh, it's the end of the week, so we're playing all the whole week's worth of stuff. So you should come join us because you want your lungs as strong as possible so that you can survive whatever comes your way. Today it's You Are My Sunshine. Yeah, see, there you go. There's your songs you want. All Through the Night, Edelweiss for He's a Jolly Good Fellow. We did that earlier in Book 2. Ghost Riders in the Sky, House of the Rising Sun, It's Only a Paper Moon, La Vie en Rose. All of these pieces of paper have a ukulele line as well, so you can bring your ukulele and forget the stupid harmonica. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. We won't meet on Monday for ukulele. It's a holiday in the United States, and but I'll see all you guys online. I'm going to send you out an email this weekend with stuff to keep you busy. So hope you're having a wonderful day, and that's it. That's what I know. Peace.